different podcast where we bring on people who have been where you are trying to go and or have helped countless athletes get there. We normally have college coaches on, AAU directors, and people in the community, but today we got the parents of some of the top kids in the country.
Sometimes the episodes is just not enough. You need weekly information sent to you on top of these episodes, so make sure you subscribe. But if you want weekly tips, weekly updates straight to your inbox, make sure you message. Follow us, come on over.
So we got Team Lex and we got both Team Lex. Both Team Lex. What made you guys choose Team Lex?
And for us, it's just more of putting our daughter in the right position that we thought fit her game and how she plays. So we had some previous stints with other clubs, and we felt like Team Lex, after talking to them, kind of let us know how they were going to use our daughter and how they were going to play her. So they kind of fit what we saw for her long term. So we chose Team Lex.
We were also looking for a great culture. It's a great group of parents around us, great coaches, and it's a positive environment and positive atmosphere.
Now I feel like finding a team is the hardest thing. Like that is very hard for parents to understand what program to choose and what to look for. What are some red flags you guys would say parents should be looking out for when choosing a program?
I think for me and our family is the constant turnover of players and coaches throughout a program, right? If anything, you want some consistency for your child as they grow and develop in the game, and you need a program that is suitable and capable of doing that for your child. So number one, you obviously look at the coaches, some other experience that they have, whether it's high school level or even across the board. And then, do those players style of basketball?
For us, it's kind of the same. You really want to look and find out program-wise, they've been there for a long time. Is it a established program? Is it a program that has good coaches? Is it a program that has good culture? And at the same time, you still have to ultimately decide, even though they may be a good program and they may have good history, does it fit your kid? So you have to know how your kid plays. You have to know kind of how the coaches coach. Do your homework a little bit, see how they run their system, how they run their program. And it's ultimately decide if that fits your kid. And if it fits your kid, and we give our kid input. So we hope we let her make her decision on where she wants to play. Because it's her journey, it's not our journey. So if she feels comfortable with the kids, with the coaches, with the parents, then we let her go for it.
I mean, they hit it right on the nose, so that's pretty much all the red flags you need to look for.
Now, we talk red flags. As if y'all could give any specific questions, if it's a parent that has a kid, and I'm going to say I'll talk Division I, a Division I kid, and they are trying to find a program that's going to help their kid get in school. What questions should they ask?
I would say, you kind of want to know, if you have a kid that wants to get to the next level, you kind of want to know the history of that program. Have you had kids that have played for you before, that have gotten to the next level? What did you do to help that kid get to the next level? What kind of environments or what kind of atmospheres can you place my kid in to where she's going to be recognized and seen? So those are some of the things that we ask. We want to make sure that we go out on the road. We don't want to just travel just to be traveling. Right? So when you travel, you want to be in front of the coaches. You can play meaningless games at home, but when you're traveling and when you're doing things, you want to know wherever you are, are there going to be the college coaches that you're looking for, that the parents are looking for, or they're going to be in the gym. So those are just some of the questions that I asked, when we were getting into our situation for KP.
Did you know that I have two books? One called The Little Girl with Big Dreams. It's about an ambitious little girl who overcomes every no to say yes to her dream. The other is called Changing Lanes. It teaches you about the things that you learn from sport and how it translates to life after sport. Be sure to check these out at itsjustdifferentpod.com. Let's get to the episode.
You just want to make sure your child fits the program, right? So you just want to ask questions, get together as a family, see what you guys value as a family, and basically just get together, write down a list of questions that you would have and that you want as an athlete, and then go about it that way.
Yeah, and I think George and Tracie kind of hit the nail on the head. It really comes down to what it is that you're looking for as a family. Kind of what we've done for our kids is we go on college visits and so forth, and we put a list together of advantages and disadvantages, likes, dislikes from each program. And when we came to the conclusion as far as my other daughter that plays at K-State and her decision, we went back and we reflected on all those things that she had listed and what suited her and our family values the most. And right now, she's in a place and she loves it. She was recently hurt, but with that being said, a lot of times when kids get hurt in programs, they're kind of forgotten about. She is not, and that matters because it shows that it's more than just basketball. It's the actual care for the individual. So that is something that we value as a family. And when you go out and you visit these colleges, everybody's going to kind of tell you the same thing. We want you here. We love you. We want to do everything for you, but continue to do your homework. Talk to some of those other players that have been there, those that have been there for a while. And if you know some of those that have left recently, visit with those especially. Because a lot of times you get this false narrative of kids leaving a program just because they didn't like coaches or kids or whatever the case may be. But in reality, it just wasn't the right fit, and they still have a good bond with those coaches. So, once again, to break it down, positive, negatives, list them, and then make a decision from there.
Now you just hit on something. Can y'all hear me? Test, test. Now you hit on something of college visits. I think that is something that parents always have questions about. What visits should they take? What camps should they go to? So what advice would you give to parents on choosing camps? I'll go into camps. What advice would you give them on what camps they should go to?
So what I would say is you don't just want to go to any camp, right? So you want to go to the camps with the schools that you have been talking to, that you have built close bonds with, close relationships with the coaches, because those are ultimately, you don't want to waste your time, right? So ultimately you want to go and get in front of the camps or get in front of the schools that you have a really high interest in. And then when it comes to, I guess, choosing a school, right, camps and schools in general, those relationships, those conversations, the consistency with the coaches, it matters a lot. So, like Frankie said in the beginning, every coach is going to tell you everything you want to hear when that process starts. But as the process goes along, the ones that are consistent, the ones that are talking to you, maybe every week, maybe twice a week, calling, checking up on your family, calling, checking up how you're doing, not even worried about KP or my kid or your kid, your parents' kid, worried about your family. How are you guys doing outside of basketball? Those are the things that matter. So, and like you said, talk to other players. We do a lot of talking to players on those college teams. Some players we know, some players we get to know as we go on visits. We just talk to them, ask them questions about the program, things they like, things they don't like. So, those are just some of the things that play into when it comes to camps and when it comes to schools as well.
So as far as camps, as you're coming up, as KP was coming up, she went to a lot of skills and development camps. And as we start traveling to the different states and everything, she started getting recognized. And then we start going to the camps that matter, the camps that gets her in front of evaluators and writers who can really pretty much tell her story and let everyone know how great she is, right? And so at this stage, we pretty much let her go to the major camps, like the USA or something like that, because she's that type of caliber player. But I would say in your journey, if you're in high school, you also want to go to those camps of those schools that you're interested in, right? So if you're interested in Baylor University, go to that camp so that you can get in front of those coaches so that they can evaluate you and see if they want to put you on their list, right?
So I want to stop you right there real quick. Because me personally, I'm a disagree. Let me tell you why. So you said, let's say Baylor, right?
Yes.
You said we go to Baylor camp. If you like Baylor, go to the Baylor camp, right? I think that So this depends on the skill of the player, right?
The skill of the
Yes. So
player,
I
yes.
think if you got Ashley, who is playing basketball, likes basketball, and loves Baylor, I'm gonna say Texas because I played at Texas. I absolutely love Texas, but I haven't talked to Texas. Texas ain't been at my game, and at the end of the day, I'm probably not a Texas player.
Yeah.
I don't think that they should go to that camp because to me, I'm like, maybe I might not be a Texas player, but I might be a Texas State player, or I might be a UTSA player. I think they should go to that camp versus saying, "Oh, let me try to go to Texas camp."
Right. So,
So I think what happens a lot of times is parents aren't realistic as it relates to the level of their child's play, right? So you just mentioned that, yes, you may not be a Texas player, but you may be a Texas State player. Parents have to recognize that. Granted, everybody wants their child to play at the highest level possible. That's why we're here, right? That is the ultimate goal. But is that the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal should be, in reality, is basketball is a tool to obtain your education to start a career. That is what I teach my kids. I went to an NAIA school. My degree got me my educational job. Not because it was from Auburn, Oklahoma, Texas. It was Ottawa University. And that is why I'm teaching now. My neighbor next to me that's a teacher has a degree from Texas. But we make the same amount of money, we do the same job, and I went to a less cost school, if you want to put it that way, right? So, with that being said, long story short, parents, you must have a realistic outlook on where your child is. And if they're a freshman, can they grow into a Division I player? Absolutely. But if they're not yet at that level, then place them somewhere or a camp that is of their level where they can actually have some true success and have the opportunity to be looked at. Okay?
Did you want to finish? I had to say something with that one. Did you want to finish that?
yeah, so I definitely agree with you.
Okay.
So if you have that caliber of
Yes.
player, then you will go to that camp. But I always encourage like NAIA schools, JUCO, D1, D2, because I went JUCO for 2 years before I actually went D1. And so that helped me in my progression with basketball, the education level, the workouts that I was going to have to get ready for and prepare for when I went to the D1 level. So, yeah.
And I want to stay on camps a little bit because I want to make sure parents and players understand you don't necessarily have to go to a camp only if they're talking to you, right? I don't think that. But I think in what we're all saying is your caliber. So if your caliber is more low, mid, major, to me, I think that's where you should focus your camps. So maybe Texas State is recruiting you, but UTSA might not be. Well, those are similar schools. So I might go to UTSA because I know, well, if Texas State likes me, then UTSA might like me. They just probably have not seen me. So then I will probably go to a UTSA even though they haven't talked to me. I think that's how a lot of parents and players should approach it, not just, oh, I'm going to pick 5 schools and go to that camp. Because I think that camps are recruiting tools. Like camp is a recruiting tool. These coaches, it's hard for them to see all these players. So I think that players and parents should use camps as a way to get on a list, as a way if it's an offer, hey, you get offers at camps. At the end of the day, you'll get an offer at camp. So go to the camps that fits your needs, wherever that is. You know, it could be, I'm just using Texas State and UTSA because that's top of my mind. But Texas State, look at their conference and see, okay, these are the schools that's in this conference. These schools play the way I play. They got the style that I play. I'm going to go to 2 of those that maybe haven't talked to me. I think that's how they should approach it.
I 100% agree with that. Again, it's all about, like they said, your kid's level of play. So, as Frankie said, you know, when parents don't have a realistic expectation of their kid's level of play, all it does is set your kid up for failure, set your kid up for disappointment, because you're going to take them to these high-end camps or these Power 5 camps, and realistically, we know our kid really isn't progressed into that level of player yet. Now, she can, depending on where she is in her career. If she's a freshman, if she's younger or whatever, she can progress into that. But ultimately, just set your kid up for success so that they can see the success of what they're doing. You don't want them disappointed coming from the camp and the coach says nothing to them,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So those are the main things. Just know your kid, be realistic, and take them where they fit.
Now, you said know your kid. At the end of the day, every parent thinks their kid is going to Texas. Every parent thinks their kid is going to Baylor. And that's no knock. It's just some parents truly don't know. So how can we help those parents understand? Like, what does that look like so that they can get a true understanding of their level right now, their potential level? You know, because you'll hear a lot of times, even college coaches, a lot of people will say, oh, that's a P5 kid. Oh, that's a D1 kid. Oh, that's a D2 kid. But parents don't really understand the difference. So how would you say, how can we help that?
Yes, we have merch available. Be sure to check out the site at itsjustdifferentpod.com to see if it's something you might like. All right, back to the episode.
How I gauged how good my daughter is by trying to play her against the best competition. So the best way to find out how good is my kid is to put her against the kids that everybody says is the best, or that everybody says is going to go Power 5, or they're going to go D1. So that's how you stack up. Now, me, I am very realistic about my kid's abilities as she was younger. If I put her against somebody and I feel like we got a lot of work to do, right, then I know you're probably not that caliber of player yet. But if I put you up against this kid who's highly touted, and she's the best player in the country, you hold your own, right? Maybe you can guard her a little bit. Maybe you go off, get you a few buckets here and there. You play hard, you hustle. Okay, now you can be that type of player. You can get to that level. I see it in you. But it just takes putting them in the right positions to let them, don't be afraid to let your kid fail at some things, right? You can't always baby and show to them. You have to put them out there, let them make mistakes, let them be in situations where they aren't the best player, and kind of see how they respond to that.
That's good. Now, I want to back it up a little bit because we're talking about D1 players, P5, college-ready players, and we're talking about camps. You got to get there first. So, with getting there, you got to put in some work. I want to say specifically for your daughters, what does a training regimen look like for Keeley and for KP?
Are we talking specifically summer or throughout the year in general? Okay, because it varies quite a bit for us. So I'm a high school coach as well. Keeley plays high school ball for us. So we're practically in the gym every day. Not everybody has the opportunity to do that. We're pretty fortunate to be able to do that. So with her, we do strength and conditioning a couple times a week. We do skills work a couple times a week, but we shoot every day. Right now we're in the high school season where we're meeting 3-4 times a week, playing summer leagues, going to team camps, things of that nature. So we are on the floor quite a bit, just throughout the year in general. The one thing that we make sure that we absolutely do for all of our kids, not just mine though, is give them some time off. I think a lot of times we as parents say more. The more you train, the better you are. Absolutely. But with that being said, we're all parents of young ladies in here, right? And we know how injuries can stack up pretty quickly with young ladies. All 3 of my girls have torn their ACL. One has done it 3 times. The other one just did it for the 2nd time last week. Is it overtraining? I don't believe so, just because we do give them a lot of time off. But ultimately, we don't know, right? As parents, as physicians, there is no, answer to why young ladies continue to have this issue. So we make sure that we give them a lot of time off. But as far as training and the regimen, we probably are in the gym at least 10 and a half months of the year. With about the month of August, I don't let any of my girls on the basketball court, not until school starts, because your body has to recover These girls are playing year round. They are training their butts off 24/7. They've got to rest. So, probably 10 to 10 and a half months of skills, strength and conditioning, and then about a month off as far as any sort of rest.
Which daughter tore ACL 3 times?
My oldest daughter.
So what did you do anything differently from with your oldest daughter and the other two?
Well, so as parents, we learn, right? So my oldest, your oldest is your most hard-headed kid for the most part, right? Knows everything. But in her case, we did a new experimental procedure at the time in which she tore her ACL, but it tore in the middle, not from the bone. So they had this new procedure at the time in which they were going to just kind of suture the ACL back together. Of course, 6 months rolls around and she says, I'm ready. 2 weeks later, she retore the same one. So they go back in, they do the procedure with the hamstring. She came back, she played. The ironic thing is in high school, I coached against my oldest daughter in the state championship game. But with that being said, she tore it again, the other leg, and at that point as a parent, you're just kind of like, what do you do? My other two were contact injuries. And there is a difference between non-contact ACL and contact. My other two were planted and kind of cut, and and that's just part of the game. That kind of stuff happens. But it's just, it happens quite a bit.
Man, I remember when I tore my ACL and I thought life was over.
They all do.
I literally thought life was over. I was depressed, and it took me a minute. But one thing I will say is, I think I understood the game even more.
Absolutely. You become a coach.
You become a coach, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted to get into coach, because I just saw so many different things. As a coach, I tell my players all the time, like, if a player is telling me something, like, they don't know, they're not watching, they're in the game. So me tearing my ACL, I got to be on the sideline. I was at Duncanville, so Coach Kathy Self Morgan, that was my coach, and I feel like she molded me into the person I am because I tore my ACL. And at first, I went from begging her to let me play. I got to tell this quick story real quick. I tore my ACL, and when you tear your ACL, you got like stages. So I had my stitches, and my trainer said once my stitches dissolve, I can move on to the next level. So you know what I did? I took them things out. They dissolved. I literally took the stitches out, and I went to the trainer the next day, and I was like, my stitch is gone, and she's looking at, this is why I got this scar on my knee, because she's looking at my knee like, did they dissolve or did you take them out? And I took them out. But it was just me really wanting to get on the court, and I had to realize, like, all right, Ashley, you tore your ACL, what else? The game of basketball is not just on the court, so what else can you do? I was learning. I was talking to the players, telling them, hey, this is what you should be doing. I was sitting in this chair, shooting. I was dribbling. I was doing a lot of different things. And this is for anybody that have injuries. You hurt your knee, your arms still work. You do something with your arms, your legs still work. There is something that you can continue to do. The ACLs is something that's going to continue. I think it just happens. But I think it's finding the right thing, finding what you can do when you tear your ACL. But I do want to go back. We was talking about training. What does training look like with KP?
I want to tell this quick little story, right? So when Kamora first wanted to get into basketball, it was like she played at the YMCA first, right? And she had the whole gym rocking. Like, everybody came to see this little girl play. She was only like 5 or 6, but she was doing it way better than the boys. But at 6, we said, okay, do you want to take it serious or do you want to play for fun? Because if you're going to take it serious, me and Dad going to be on you, because we went to school to play ball. And so she started crying, and she was like, I want to be serious. I want to be serious. I want to take it serious. I want to get a scholarship. I want to go to the WNBA. She already knew what she wanted to do. So from then, we started training her. She woke us up, him up, at 4 o'clock in the morning, almost every day, because he worked, night shifts, to train. So he would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, take her to the gym, and train her on ball handling and shooting and everything. But I wanted to tell that quick little story real quick, but he's going to tell you most of the training. Like as she was younger, I did it up until a certain point, and then he took over as she got older.
Training for KP, it's kind of similar to Frankie, really. We're in the gym a lot, um, probably every day. And we're not, I don't always go hard or have her doing all these moves and things like that. Sometimes we just in the gym, we just shooting. But because rest is very important, injuries happen. So for us, the rest that we give her, she's playing basketball throughout the high school season. Once the high school season's over, we don't let her play, touch a ball, run, do anything for at least a month. Her body has to heal. So then once that month is over, we're back at it. So we start with conditioning, start running a little bit, get our wind up, and we're back training. We're probably training 2-3 hours a day, 4 or 5 times a week. Either ball handling, shooting, and everything like that. So, and then maybe after the summer's over with, for the month of August, I believe we give her August off, right? I think we give her maybe August off. With the last few weeks of August, she gets that completely off to heal her body up from the summertime. Because it's a grueling, like, kids go through a lot. These professionals only play a certain amount of games, but these kids play all year long. That's why their bodies are breaking down. So rest is very important, right? So, but training-wise, we're in the gym every day. It takes consistency. It takes every day. It takes 3-4 times a week, repetition, to build habits, right? So once you build a habit, it has the right mentality and the mindset that she wants to do something. At that point, it's easy because they want to do it. You don't have to force them to do anything. So just continue to grind, consistently be in the gym 3-4 times a week, and then the results will come.
That's good.
Parents, don't overdo it either because you want your child to be great, right? It was at one point we had our own organization, so we traveled with her all over the place. But it was so many teams and coaches who would send her from different states that wanted her to play on their team. And since Kimora always played 3 years up, we was like, okay, well, you can play your grade, you can play here, you can play there. And we just overdid it to where she probably played 200 games before the summer even ended. And we was like, okay, this girl needs some rest. Like, we can't keep allowing her to play on this team, and then travel with us, and then do our workout regimen that we had, which is pretty tough because we both played college ball. So it's like we're making her do college drills, and all of that. So if you take anything from this, make sure you get them some rest, some cryotherapy, and all of that.
That's good. That's good. Now I know y'all gotta go because KP plays at 12:15, and you're coaching. So we'll start wrapping up here. But I do have a few more questions for you specifically. You've coached your daughter, all three. You coached all three, right? And there's a lot of parents that coach their kids, and in my opinion, I think a lot of parents get backlash from it. You hear daddy ball sometimes. You hear a lot of different things. How have you handled coaching your daughter?
To be honest, I'm pretty thick-skinned, and I really don't care what people say. If you listen to every parent or every other person tell you how you should do you probably won't be very successful. With that being said, though, I've been doing this for a long time, almost 20 years worth of coaching. Fortunately, I've been able to do it with my kids, but along the way, I've coached some amazing kids. I get a chance to coach, Tracie and George's kid, KP. I coach at the high school. This is my 11th year coming up, and so I've probably had, quite a bit of impact on other kids along the way. There will be people that like your style, your brand, the way you do things, and there will be people, that it just doesn't work for. But at the end of the day, I always look within myself, and if I feel like I've done everything possible to do it the right way, regardless of what people say, all you can do is keep going. And so, 20 years worth of this, like I said, I'm pretty thick-skinned at this point.
I got it. That's good. And for y'all, I gotta talk about public and prep. You guys were at DeSoto. What made you make the move from DeSoto to go to Legion?
For us, it was really um, trying to prepare her for what she's going to see, the kind of schedule she's going to have when she gets to the next level. So when you go prep, when you have your school in college, you have your school in the morning times, you have workout in the morning, you have class, you have weights, and you know, those type of things. So going prep allows us to prepare her mentally for what's going to happen when she gets to the next level. Um, it had nothing to do with, you know, anything outside of that. You know, our decision was mainly to focus on preparation for our daughter to get to the next level. And that's solely what it was about.
And when we looked into Legion Prep, they're academically inclined. The schedule is amazing. The owners of the school is amazing. And when we start looking into the schedule, like, okay, she's going to go to school from a certain time. If she needs to be tutored, they have that opportunity for her to be tutored as well. But that time frame that she gets outside of school to get those extra workouts in, to really prepare her body, her mind for the next level, that was really like a plus for us.
I love it. I love it. Well, I appreciate y'all for taking time. Like I said, I know you're coaching and I know y'all are playing. I got a lot of questions, but we're going to save the time for today, and I know we'll be able to do it again. If there's any piece of advice you'll give to parents and players right now, what would it be?
Keep working hard. Hard work never fails. Simple as that.
Same. That's really all it comes down to. You put the work in, you get the results.
And my motto, hard work plus dedication plus no excuses equals success.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Since we do have some people here, I want to open it up for 2 or 3 minutes. If anybody has any questions for Keeley's dad or KP's parents. You got a question? Oh, and you can turn it on. Anybody got any questions? We got to get one question. I know we got to get one question. We got one right here.
Came a little unprepared, but
I can't really hear you.
okay.
There we go.
This is for like just an open question. Just give like parents a direction when you know your focus is for your kid to be a student athlete, but her talent is more exceptional. Like, what's the process, and when did you know, and what did you do to make sure she stayed at that level? That's just for everybody.
So, if I'm being completely honest, I knew my kid was going to be very good when she was in the 3rd grade. So, that was the first time we decided to kind of travel around, you know, and ironically, our first game we played when we traveled was against Aaliyah Chavez. And so, I was like, whoa, like that kid is special. So, when my kid was facing up against that team, and when I saw what she did against that team and how, because that team, they had a really good team. So when I saw what she did against that team and against, you know, really at that time, top level talent, that let me know that she had a different mindset because she went into it like, okay, I know they're good, but watch what I do. She had that mindset at a very young age. So at that point, I knew she was going to be a little different.
And I knew she was going to be different when she came out my womb. No, but it was a Naismith tournament in Atlanta, and she got the name KP, right? Everybody started calling her KP, but everyone around the gym was like, "Who is this kid from St. Louis, Missouri? Who is she?" Because she totally dominated the entire tournament. So she had everybody around the tournament saying, her name is KP. She's KP. Oh my God, this girl is great. She's going to be amazing. And then it was like some little rankings that came out for Naismith, and she was like in the top 5 or something. And she started having everybody at every tournament, all the coaches talk about her.
I love it. And very last question before you guys get out of here.
Okay, this question I think is important for the parents. I want to ask you guys, what process do y'all go through when y'all deciding to trainer for y'all child? Because I know that's an important element as far as developmental is concerned, and there's a lot of trainers out there. But could you give them some advice on how to select a trainer?
That's actually a pretty hard question for me. I've always kind of trained my kids on my own. I literally have. I think it's really the trust that you have in a trainer. And the reason that I don't send my kids to trainers is because there's too much stuff, right? I don't teach my kids 4 or 5 dribble combinations. I teach them one change of direction, get downhill. That's how we play. Nothing wrong with, going to someone that teaches your kid exquisite ball handling skills, but at the end of the day, none of that matters if it doesn't go through the hoop, right? So that's kind of what I've always focused on is just change of direction, getting to your spot, and making shots. Too much stuff goes on with trainers, and I'm not saying that that's bad, but I think to each their own and whatever their goal may be for their kid and the way that they play basketball, right? So.
And it's really the same for us. We've been training Kimura pretty much our whole life. There's a couple times, and the reason we don't allow her to just go with different people, you really got to do your research and watch and kind of talk to other people about these trainers, because some of these trainers, they have ulterior motives, right? They want to use your daughter to get them publicity, right? They'll record her, put her on their page and say, oh, I'm her trainer, and then now they're charging everybody else $1,000 to come and train because, your kid was in their gym. So you really have to know the trainers and just kind of really do your research on these trainers, and just when you feel comfortable with somebody, if you have that feeling that you're comfortable with them, then you allow them to do that. There's only maybe one person, or maybe two, outside of myself, that I'm, okay, you can just, if I don't have to be there, you just do your thing, right? So, and that's because they're genuine people. There's no ulterior motive. There's no, I'm recording KP to put her on my page to get more likes. There's none of that. It's genuinely, I'm here to try to help your daughter's game get better.
Man, I wish we had some time because we could talk about that for a whole nother 30 minutes. I definitely appreciate you guys. I know y'all have to go. Thank y'all for being a part of the first. This was the very first live panel. So I'm super excited. I'm going to continue to do this throughout July. So I'm excited that y'all were able to be the first. I appreciate it. Make sure y'all follow, like, subscribe to the channel. We bring on guests every single week to help you go from confused to confident in the AAU space. It's just different vibe. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, follow on Apple, Spotify, and follow the page. It's just different.